Let's talk about the Daggerspell Shaper. Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, coming from the Complete Adventurer, we're going to be talking about Daggerspell Shaper. So what we're going to be talking about today is first, what is the Daggerspell Shaper? Then we're going to talk about what it takes to become a Daggerspell Shaper. Then we're going to talk about what you get as a Daggerspell Shaper. And finally, we're going to talk about how good the Daggerspell Shaper is and how you might use it in a build. So let's get started. First off, what is the Daggerspell Shaper? Well, the Daggerspell Shaper is half of the guild, the Daggerspell Guardian, the other half being the Daggerspell Mages. Now, the Daggerspell Guardians are all about protecting the good work of civilians and bringing balance to the world. So that's really what they are. They're good people. They take the art of fighting with two daggers, one in each hand, much like the Daggerspell Mages, but they combine it with their wild shape ability, as well as their ability to cast spells in some very interesting ways. They are the more calculating members of the guild, whereas the Daggerspell Mages tend to be a little bit more wild. When my Daggerspell Mage video comes out, I actually got that wrong on that one, but I'm correct on this one. Anyways, the Daggerspell Shaper is a very interesting one. They combine wild shape with dual wielding daggers. A very interesting idea. So yeah, let's talk about what it takes to become a Daggerspell Shaper. First off, non-evil. So, okay, makes sense. Next, concentration 8 ranks. Then you have 2 feats. First, you have to have weapon focused dagger, and then you also have to have 2 weapon fighting. Not the best feats in the world, so that's going to be a bit of an issue, but you also have to have the wild shape class feature, and you have to also be able to do 1d6 damage of sneak attack or 1d6 skirmish, so one or the other, and that's everything it takes to become a Daggerspell Shaper, which the feats are a bit much, but aside from that, isn't too bad. Now let's talk about what you get as a Daggerspell Shaper. First off, d6 hit dice. Not terrible. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. Have an average base attack bonus, so that's alright. A good reflex and will save, but a bad fortitude save, so it is what it is. For skills, you have 6+ int, which is pretty big, and on top of that, your skill list's pretty solid. You have all your caster skills, so that's really important, plus just some really good skills that you would expect from a rogue. You gain dagger cast, much like a Daggerspell Mage does. This allows you to cast spells while holding 2 daggers, which is not something you normally can do. You normally need a free hand in order to cast spells. Now you're able to do it while both hands are occupied with daggers. Now, both hands need to be occupied with daggers for this to work. If one hand is holding something that's not a dagger, then this isn't going to work. Both hands need to be daggers. You also gain wild shape, or rather, your wild shape stacks for the purposes of duration. So how long your wild shape lasts is going to stack with your druid levels, assuming you got in with druid. There are other ways to obtain wild shape, so that's something. Specifically says it doesn't stack with anything else. I'd say there is an argument for the HD cap of the creature you can turn into, but that's very much a DM call. Also, with wild shape, you will very quickly gain the ability to turn into tiny animals and then large animals, and you also gain more uses per day of it. So that's also something. Now at 2nd level, you gain Dagger Claws. Now Dagger Claws is kind of cool. What it does is makes it so that when you wild shape while wielding daggers, the magical properties of those daggers will actually transmute into your natural weapon. So if you have claws, now those claws have those same properties that those daggers did, which is pretty nice, not gonna lie. It's kind of a big deal. So that much is really cool. One of their better abilities. They also get spells. So every level other than 2nd, they are going to have their spell casting advance as if they were a divine caster, probably druid. They gain sneak attack every 3 levels, so 3, 6, and 9 they will gain another d6 of sneak attack. Pretty nice. At 7th level they gain fast wild shape, which is really nice. It lets them wild shape as a move action instead of a standard action, which is really solid. They're not the only prestige class that gets it, but it's still a really big deal. At 8th level they get enhanced wild shape, which makes it so that if they're wearing any gear that increases their strength, dex, or constitution, that buff to their strength, dex, and constitution will continue in their wild shape form, even if they aren't able to continue wearing it in their wild shape form. That's kind of nice, although I wasn't aware that was a problem, so I don't know. And then finally at 10th level they gain Daggerspell Flurry, which Daggerspell Flurry, what's interesting about it is basically you can make a full attack with your daggers, and on top of that you can also cast a quicken spell at no cost. So basically you cast cast a spell and it just automatically gets quickened with no cost other than having to make a full attack. You don't even have to make the full attack. You just have to, I think, attack once with each dagger. Actually, it doesn't even have to be with each dagger. You just have to make at least one attack. And on top of that, you have to be holding 2 daggers in order to do it. So makes sense and not the worst thing in the world. Solid, although doesn't work while you're wild shape. So yeah, that is what the Daggerspell Shaper gets. Let's talk about how good they are. So the Daggerspell Shaper is an interesting one. So in terms of trying to combine divine power with rogue to make a divine rogue gish, this is one of the only ways to do it. So it's kind of the best way to do it since there's not really other options for a divine rogue gish. So it's all right. I mean, 9/10 casting and also 3d6 sneak attack over 10 levels. It's okay. The class features are all right. I think Dagger Claws is particularly nice. It's a pretty solid one. The fast wild shape ability is also really good. So it has some pretty nice stuff, but it's got all these things that enhance wild shape, but then it also has things that aren't particularly good for wild shape, like Dagger Cast and Daggerspell Flurry, ones that don't work while in wild shape. So it's kind of sending multiple messages. You know, you have some stuff that's good while you're in wild shape and some stuff that's not. Plus your wild shape arguably doesn't increase the hit dice of the creature you can transform into, so you're likely going to be transforming into weaker creatures, so that's not the greatest. So I don't know, it's an interesting one. That's really what the Daggerspell Shaper is. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like, maybe subscribe to the channel for more D&D 3.5 content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. And down in the description below there's a link to my Discord as well as to my Twitch, so get your rolls on Discord and check me out on Twitch. But anyways, as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you